Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed to impose stringent punishment on those responsible for exam fraud in the country. The remarks were his first linked to large-scale protests by the youth-led Cockroach Janta Party. Mr. Modi has promised to set up fast-track courts to speed the process to punish those involved in the exam paper leaks. He stressed the welfare and future of India's youth is crucial to the nation and that those who try to harm it will, I quote, not be spared. Although supporters of the Cockroach Janta Party are maintaining their demand for the resignation of the country's education minister, protests escalated earlier this week when police fired tear gas and used batons to stop a crowd from marching on Parliament. More than 100 people were injured. The movement has been further backed by opposition parties who have disrupted Parliament proceedings and demanded apology from Modi's government. India's opposition, Rahul Gandhi, accused Mr. Modi of causing the most harm to the future of the youth. The movement has spread beyond the capital, with smaller demonstrations springing up in major cities such as Mumbai and Bengaluru. And Neha Poonia has been tracking the developments for CNA live from the protest grounds in New Delhi. Now, Neha, what do we know about the plans on talks between both the government and the CJP?
Angela, we've seen two significant developments today. One, of course, was Mr. Modi's indirect outreach to students, where he promised to set up the fast-track courts, and soon after, a minister in his own office has put out an appeal to the protesting students, saying that they're willing to hold discussions without any time limits. He said this is not an issue of prestige for us, but they do want to hold discussions with the Cockroach Janta Party's representatives so they can find a solution out of this deadlock. Also said that 4 invitations have been issued to the Cockroach Janta Party representatives, but he claims that he hasn't heard back from them. We were at the protest site, which is just down the road from here, and representatives of the CJP have been telling us that they have replied to the government. They're refusing to go to any government minister's house or residence like it happened on Monday. They say that's not the sort of engagement they're interested in. They want to hold talks either at the protest site of Jantar Mantar or they want to hold talks at a neutral venue. They say they have suggested possible locations where these discussions could be held, essentially throwing the ball back in the government's court. They've also put one more demand. They've said that they will not talk if this is going to be, an engagement that doesn't end in some sort of conclusive decision being announced. This question was also put to the crowd at the protest, with one of the spokespersons asking the people present there that should we go meet the ministers if they cannot make us any tangible promises, and the crowd roared back no. So this has shown in a lot of ways, experts say, the kind of pressure the government may be feeling because of how big this protest has become this week. Following that police crackdown on Monday, many more people have been showing up. That protest site is absolutely packed and people are still coming in. And now the Cockroach Janta Party has deployed another pressure tactic. They're requesting student unions across the country to hold protests in their own cities. They're saying wherever you are, hold a large gathering, read out our demands. The top of the list is the resignation of the education minister. And we've already seen how there has been a response in many cities, protests taking place in many urban centers. But now the Cockroach Janta Party calling for nationwide protests in solidarity with their demands.
And Neha, you've been tracking the protest situation on the ground in New Delhi. What is the situation like right now at the protest site?
We have seen the numbers swell considerably since Monday's crackdown. We were there a little while ago, and Angela, there's barely any room to walk and people are still coming in. This is despite the fact that 17 metro stations have been shut for the second day in a row. So a lot of people making their way on foot. Internet restrictions are also in place in and around that protest site. And we've just been told that orders have been issued to shops, commercial establishments and offices in and around that area to shut by 6:30 p.m. local time. So that's adding a level of anxiety, for protesters on the ground. They're wondering what that order is about. But we are also seeing a heavy security presence. Riot police teams are there, Delhi police teams are there, all of them armed to the teeth. And there is, of course, a degree of mistrust. But the Delhi police still defending that it did not use excess force earlier in the week. What we're also seeing, though, is that a lot of people who can't come physically are sending food and other sort of eatables to the protest site. We've seen a huge jump in people placing anonymous food orders to Jantar Mantar, so much so that every day you've had spokespersons of the Cockroach Janta Party announcing at some point that please don't send more food, we have enough. So they're saying this is now a movement that has a life of its own.
Neha, thank you so much for that report. That was Neha Poonia reporting live for CNA from New Delhi.